Hello, everybody. How you doing? This is Sakoni Prince, and I am super excited to be able to share with you that we are going to be doing something special coming next weekend here in Mobile, Alabama. It's none other than the National Men's Prayer Hall Mobile chapters. We're having a fellowship conference. Now, a lot of people say, "Okay, Sakoni, I've heard of a leadership, but what does it mean to be a follower? Have a fellowship conference?" Well, it means that we're going to have individuals coming in to talk about the importance of leading by following. And here's what I mean. When you're following somebody, who are they following? I know people talk about leader, but who is your leader following? And we want to make sure that we focus on the importance of learning how to follow. Every time we made mistakes, every time we've gone off track, every time we've done something that wasn't really in line with what God wanted us to do, it's because we weren't following Him, we were leading ourselves. So we want to emphasize and make sure that we understand how important it is for us to follow. We're going to have several speakers coming in to actually share with us, some from in town, some from out of town that's going to share. I'm going to be one of the facilitators of the event. I am super excited about that. Also going to have Pastor Lord Michael Austin. He's going to be one of our presenters. Going to have Pastor Corey Penn. He's one of our presenters. Our good friend from none other than Dallas, Texas, Big Brother Benny Franklin is going to be one of our facilitators for our workshop. And we also have Pastor Ryan Langstaff. He's going to be one of our facilitators. And our keynote on that Saturday is going to be none other than Pastor Cedric Raphael. In fact, but listen, I want to make sure that we actually get a chance to actually have one of our speakers, one of our facilitators share with us today. And that's none other than Pastor Lord Michael Austin. Pastor Austin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Good, good, good. Well, we are super excited to actually be able to promote this event. It's going to be here in Mobile, Alabama. So tell us about the church and where it's going to be.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here tonight. Thank you, Sakoni, for having me here. We're located in a strategic area in Mobile, downtown Mobile, on the corner of Government and Broad Street, 901 Government Street. It's a historical building. The building was actually built in 1890, United Methodist Church, and we share that space, and we've been there about a year now. And this is a very good area in town to actually to present this as fellowship. Our ministry, we do a lot of things out in the neighborhood to help people who are less fortunate than us, and we try to lead by example. But like you said, the fellowship, Paul said it so precisely in the Bible. He said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." And people are really looking for someone to follow, but they're looking for genuine people to follow. And as you follow, it in turns give people something to follow you with. If they see who you're following, they see how you follow your lifestyle, they see the way you live your life day in and day out, that gives them more motivation to follow you, because it's not you that they're actually following. They are following who you are following, and they are following your example from the person that you're following. So it trickled down. And so Paul never said, just follow me. I know what I'm doing, but he said, I'm getting my directions, I'm getting my instructions from a higher source, which is Jesus Christ. And so since I've been doing this a little longer than you, you can trust me following him. I'm going to lead you to the place you need to go to get you the information you need for transformation to become the men and women that Christ desires to be. So, yeah, we're so excited to have us here. We're so excited for all of our brothers to come to this location and looking to have an outstanding time in the Lord to present this new way of thinking, fellowship instead of leadership.
That is so, so true. And we just want to make sure that we let everybody know that you can be a part of this amazing event. In fact, you can go to the website. In fact, you see it on the screen right now. It's bit.ly/NMPCFC. And that stands for National Men's Prayer Call Followship Conference. We oftentimes hear people talk about leadership and how important that is, but rarely do we get somebody focusing on fellowship. Somebody once said that if you call yourself a leader and there's nobody following, all you're doing is taking a walk.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we have to learn how to lead as we follow. As we follow Christ, then we can lead someone else. We really become links in a chain. As we are following where he's going, then we can lead other people to do the same. I know we have Dr. Charles, then he's going to be joining us in a minute in order to actually shed more light on this, because this particular conference going to help us to unmask a lot of the things that we've been wearing, a lot of the precepts that we've had about leadership, and actually look at it from a humbling and from a humility standpoint. And I know how important it is for people to model that, because see, even in leadership, you are modeling somebody for somebody that's coming behind you. So if you act arrogant, if you act like you have all the answers and you know everything and you can't admit when you're wrong and you can't take advice from somebody else, you are setting a precedent for them. But if you understand and know that, listen, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. Some of you guys know more than I do. Look, let me listen to you. Let me get some counsel. In fact, let me get somebody to come in and actually help me to actually do better, help us as an organization do better. Then you set a precedent for those who are coming behind you. And this is one of the things that I really kind of talked about in my book, Leadership That Lasts, about understanding that your role in leadership is to set an example for the next generation. The question is, what type of example are you setting? If you don't have counselors, if you don't have people that you can go to, if you don't have a sounding board, a think tank, a mastermind, some people in your life that can help you actually become a better version of yourself, then you set the president up where I don't need anybody. I can do it on my own. And somebody who's looking at you, because everybody, all of us has somebody looking up to us. All of us have somebody that we are impacting and influencing. And if we don't give them the best possible example, what we do is we set them up for failure, because we can't do this by ourselves. Dr.
Absolutely.
Austin?
Yeah. And so Jesus said it like this. He said, the greatest among you will be a servant to all.
Mm,
Jesus said, I didn't come to serve, I didn't come to be served, but I come to be a servant. And so as servant leaders, we need to be out front,
right.
being an example of who Jesus is and what he did and how he modeled his life when he did his ministry. And so a lot of times people, I was in the military, I'm a combat, United States Army combat veteran. And so in the military, we go in, we start off as a private. We don't know anything, but we have people in front of us to teach us what we don't know, to get us to the next level. And so, and you go and you get promoted. And as you get promoted, you take on more responsibility. And then you're not there. You're constantly following somebody because it's always someone above you. But the measure of your fellowship also equals the level that people follow you. And like you said, if you're arrogant, if you're know-it-all, if you have a bad attitude and all of those things, people are not going to follow that. And then all of that stuff is going to come back to you as well. But if you have that servant heart, I'm here to serve. I'm here to get us to where we need to go. And the things that I do when I make a mistake as a leader, be able to be accountable to the people that's following me, make ourselves give people that accountability to us. If I'm doing something that's out of line or something that don't work right, be humble enough to say, hey, I can stand that correction. But the Bible said in the multitude of counselors, amen, that's where we get to the goal. And we have to have that. When we are following Christ, we got to have people who is constantly checking us, amen, people who are constantly guiding us, people who are constantly giving us new information and new ways of doing things, because we can get stuck in our old way of doing things, and we can lead people astray. And the Bible says if the blind leads the blind, then they both gonna fall in the ditch, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
so
true.
this is the thing about fellowship. I mean, as I humbly follow Christ, I'm asking you to humbly follow my examples, what I'm giving you. Paul said, the things that you've seen in me, the things that you heard of me, and for many witness, those are the things that you need to do. And that's what we have to do, because what we do also affect other people. It's always going to be a trickle down effect. And so when we have that servant's heart, when we lead by example, when we lead from that position of humility and that position of submission to God and obedience and faithfulness, that's what we get that follow us. And that's what we present to the people as well. And it
Yeah.
trickles down through that process.
Okay, well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I want to ask some questions because I know a lot of people out there, especially men.
Mhm.
We have a sometimes like we have an issue with following.
Yes.
We have an issue with lining up fact behind somebody else. So why do you think that is such a challenge for men to actually get past that hurdle of following somebody?
Okay, well, here's the thing. God kind of created us this way, man.
Okay,
He gave us dominion,
right,
right?
right,
So we're alphas. And so it's hard for a man to humble himself to another man and say, well, I don't know. I need you to teach me. Because to us as men, sometimes it makes us feel like we're weak.
right,
I don't need you to tell me. I don't need you to show me. Let me mess up until I figure it out. But you don't
mhm,
have to mess up till you figure it out.
right,
You can use
right,
my mess ups, and it'll save you some mess ups, and that's
right,
just. But getting to that point where it's difficult for men, especially alpha males, to ask for help, and that's one of the problems that we have when it comes down to fellowship, just to be in that position of humbleness. I don't know teachers, and there's a lot of men, they won't accept help. I mean,
yeah.
there go a man driving on a trip or go 20 miles out the way before he asks for directions.
Oh,
And when somebody try to tell them, they don't want to hear it. Just that thing that we got. But God also give us the spirit of humility. We can
right,
humble
right,
ourselves and save
right,
ourselves a lot of pitfalls.
right.
We did in one of our morning sessions here at the National Men Prayer Call, and we
Hmm.
talked about the dangers of the pitfalls of shortcuts. And what God
Mm,
showed me, sometimes if I take a shortcut, I cut myself short, you
mm,
know, instead
yeah,
of just asking for that help. And that's one of the things with us as men, just afraid to ask for help, because I think that in my mind, it makes me seem like I'm less than you because
yeah,
I don't know what you know. And it put a man in that position. And so that's why a lot of men hesitant to ask.
yeah. Well, I was sharing with somebody, in fact, the other week, how I'm the type of person I'm going to try everything I can on my own, and
Mm-hmm.
once I get to the end of my knowledge, I become the
Mm-hmm.
best student. I become the best student. I mean, I'm not debating. I'm not arguing with you. I need to learn because I've done everything I know how to do. So obviously I don't have all of the tools. I don't have all of the assets that I need.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm here to learn. And see, I think a lot of us, we may get to a point to where, and I know, and I'm saying that's for me. You know, I want to make sure that I have tapped out my knowledge, and I know that there are certain things that are time sensitive. I know there are certain things that have, for dollar amounts associated with it. But I know that I become the best student when I know there's nothing else I can do with the situation but learn.
Yes.
I think sometimes, people will, in fact, they would try to actually get help, get advice, and they're still trying to work it out themselves. And so even the advice they get, they don't use because it's like, yeah, I was going to do that, but I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna twist it up a little bit. I'm gonna do a little something, and
Yeah.
then in fact they wind up making it even worse. But I know for me, it's been extremely helpful to actually, to exhaust my knowledge so
Mm-hmm.
I can make room for more.
Absolutely.
And even in the area of fellowship and setting example in leadership, it's becoming a better version of yourself. We don't have it all together. We don't know everything. And there are things we can learn from each other,
Right.
but we have to put ourselves in a position to do that. And that means
Absolutely.
we have to humble ourselves. And
Yes.
I remember telling somebody one time, in fact, we need to get around people who know more than us and be quiet long enough to learn something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard it said too, if you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong circle, you
That's
know.
it.
That's
That's
it.
it.
And
That's
so
it.
and it's okay because there are people who know a lot more than we know. And it's okay to ask my brothers like you and Dr. Dent and all of these men that I met at the National Men Prep for information, Dr. Matt. I mean, these guys have a wealth of
Oh man.
information, and
Yes.
all you have to do is just ask. And they so willingly to help you. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show
Yeah.
you how to do that. Oh, I didn't know that. I was finna take the long way around, and
Right.
you just save me money, you save me time, you save me
Right.
frustration,
Right.
because only thing I had to do was humble myself and ask you, you know,
Yep.
how did you get to that point? How do you make this? How do you do these things? And these guys, and it's so amazing because here's one of the things that I thought that I didn't think people wanted to help me.
Mm.
You know that? I didn't
Mm.
think people want to help me. I didn't think they want to give me the information. And that was just my own self doubt. You
Right.
know, he
Right.
don't want to help me. He don't want to see me get ahead. And I'm finding out it's quite the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. And we definitely we want to make sure, in fact, that we are helping everybody who attends. That's why we have these amazing individuals coming in town.
Mhm.
Some of them are coming in town. Some of them are here in town in Mobile, Alabama. But we want to make sure that we get the information to you that can help make you a better leader by understanding the importance of fellowship. You know, I remember our kids growing up when they were in school. You know, I would sometimes go and visit them, especially when, when they were smaller. They had
Mhm.
what they call a line leader. You know, and that was the person that was in charge of leading line. So wherever the line went, they went. And they had their hands, they would have the children put their hands on the shoulder of the child in front of them. And if they had to go around something, it kind of looked like a little snake or like a little caterpillar going back and forth. But the line leader was in fact responsible for the in fact direction of the line. And as men, we are leading our families, our communities, our churches, our organizations. But the question is, are we leading ourselves or are we being led by God? Especially when it comes to things in our spiritual life, whether our home, our families, in our churches, and in our communities. Are we being led by God or are we ego driven? You
That's
know,
right.
a, a lot of men, we have an actual issue with our ego, which, well, like you said earlier, which will prohibit us from asking for help. But if you really realize the weight of the matter and how important it is to get the job done, you'll put your ego aside and you'll get the help that you need.
Absolutely. I agree
Yeah.
with that 100%. And that's what it takes. It takes us being humble. The Bible says, walk circumspectly and not as fools. And so
Right.
redeeming the time because the days are evil. And so it's a
Yeah.
lot of things that we waste time in that we don't have to waste time in. And as you have this fellowship, your example of fellowship, one of the things to be a good leader is you spending that time before God yourself. You got a direct line with him. You spending time in prayer, meditation, and fasting to get your direction from the Lord. The Bible said the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. And so if you're not getting your marching orders, like you say, who are leading you? You know, where you going? You know,
Yeah.
and what's the destination here? Because it says also all the ways of a man seem right to him. And so
Yeah.
I can come up with stuff that seems pretty right, but is God the center of my journey? Is he's my destination here? Am I trying to get to him or I'm just trying to make myself to be this demigod, if you will? You
Mm.
know, look at me, look what I did, look what I can do, and I can do this, and me, my. But it's God. You know, I
Yeah.
am who I am by the grace of God, and that's the quality of that fellowship that we got to have, and people got to be able to see that in us. So, Connie,
Right.
the
Right.
thing they got to be able to see that humility in us. Don't mean that we're doormat. Don't mean that we're passive or we're, um, just something that people can walk over. But they see our sternness and our firmness. But they see us continue to follow God, no matter what's going on in this world. My orders is to follow God, and I
That's
trust
true.
Him. I trust him
That's
no
true.
matter what. The Bible said the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. And so when
Yep.
we fear God and we serve him and we obey him, and people see that in our lives, the Bible says that you know the tree by the fruit that it
That's
bears.
true.
So it's not hidden.
That's
It's
true.
out there. We out there like that fig tree, flapping the leaves in the wind. But upon close inspection, it was nothing there. But from a
Mm.
distance, it looked really good. And so
Right.
that's what a lot of people are doing. But the humility, like you said, you just got to keep going back to that. because in order to go higher in God, you got to humble yourself. He said, if you humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, he will exalt you in due season. And so if you want to go higher, you got to stay on your knees. You got to stay before God, getting your orders, getting your directions, getting your everything that you need. And when people see that, that's what they buy into. And
Right.
it's not necessarily you. You're part of the chain, but it's Christ that they're ultimately following. You know,
Right.
yes.
Right. So we have a huge weight of responsibility that we can and we have to burden, I mean, and carry, when it comes to operating in this arena. So the event next week, it says March 14th and 15th. So what
Yes.
are we doing on Friday? In fact, what's going on March 14th?
Well, from what I heard from Dr. Dent, and probably going to need clarification from him on that, but that 14th is supposed to be a meet and greet night at the Innovation
Okay.
Portal.
Yep.
And for like an hour for the guys who are coming in from out of town, for just to come in and just kind of say hello and
Right.
welcome to Mobile.
Right. Right.
That's what the event is for that Friday night. But
Okay.
Dr. Dean is the orchestrator of that, so I don't want to overstep my boundaries. So,
Well, I'm still waiting on Dr. Denton to join us.
yeah,
And the fact, well, he already knows that he got some push-ups to do because he ain't here. But
yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, yeah. In fact, that Friday night, in fact, we are going to have a meet and greet at the Innovation Portal, in fact, which is downtown Mobile, Alabama, uh, and going to have an opportunity, in fact, just get some fellowship in, allow the brother, to get in and kind of rest and relax and get ready for the main event, in fact, which is that Saturday morning. And so, speaking of which, next Saturday, the 15th, what? Okay, so we're going to be having. So, in fact, I'm going to actually pull that up. If you give me 1 second here,
Right.
I'm going to pull that up, in fact, so we can actually go through that because I want to make sure everybody knows what we have in store. Because I know we're doing breakfast, and then, in fact, we're going to have an actual panel discussion, and from the
Mhm.
panel discussion, we're going to be able to actually talk about the importance of fellowship and why it's so critical for us as men to actually operate in that role. And I'm getting ready to pull up the agenda here in a second. Just bear with me if you give me 1 second here, because I want to make sure that everybody knows the amount of work, energy, and effort that has gone into making sure that this event is one
Mhm.
that's going to actually give you the best bang for your buck. And speaking of bucks, there is a cost, or should I say, an investment to be a part of this to actually come. It's only $25. You're going to get breakfast and you're going to get lunch. And you're also going to get a chance to attend the meet and greet. But you definitely want to invest in yourself because there are so many things we spend money on, so many opportunities, and so much stuff that we actually buy and it's gone after we finish it. We'll go to concerts, we'll go to, in fact, to plays, we'll travel, we'll do all these things, but how often do we invest in ourselves? How often
Mhm.
do we take the time to actually get better at being who it is God called and intended for us to be? And so this particular event is going to help all of us do just that. We're going to have some amazing workshops, and I'm getting ready to put the agenda up here in a minute because I know you saying, Sakoni, all you're doing is talking. Well, I'm getting ready to show you. All
Okay.
right, so here is the agenda, and I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm gonna make it a little long. Oops, wait a minute. Okay, there. All right, there we go. All right, so I was trying to make it a little larger, and I actually started to write on the screen. But anyway, so our so we're gonna have breakfast on March 15th from 7:30 to 8:30 at the church at Pastor Austin's church. And
Mhm.
after that, in fact, we're going to go into our, in fact, registration period. Then we have a greetings from 9 to 9:05, panel discussion from 9:05 to 10:05, and then we have an introduction of the National Men's Prayer Call board. So the people that come in from Dallas, the ones that are here, we're going to have an opportunity to actually introduce each and every one of them, let them tell a little bit about themselves and how the ministry got started. And we are just a satellite of the National Men's Prayer Call, which is out of Dallas, Texas. Then, in fact, we're going to have a break because all of us, you need a break every now and then just to. And you know what I've learned going to conferences, going to events, it's important to have that time to connect. And having breaks give you a chance to meet somebody that you may not have met, get a chance to chop it up, have a couple of conversations and stuff. So breaks are truly important. And to me, that's where all of the actual connections and networking comes in. But then we're going to go into our actual sessions. Now we have 5 sessions, but you're only going to be able to attend 3 of them. And you're going to be able to rotate, and we're going to explain all that when you get there. But it's going to be an incredible time. Session 1, and these sessions, and in fact, we have them in blocks. The first block is from like 10:15 to 11 o'clock. So that's going to be a 45-minute session. The second session is from 11 to 11:45. The third block is from 11:45 to 12:30. So in that time period, you're going to be able to rotate to 3 of these 5 sessions. I'm going to be doing session 1, in fact, which is the foundation of leadership, learning to follow first. So I'm going to be facilitating that, and I'm really looking forward to actually presenting that. I know Pastor Austin, he's going to be doing session 2, which is servant leadership, a biblical and practical approach. And you definitely want to be able to check that one out. Now, and again, all of these sessions, go to the ones that speak to you most. And I would suggest bringing somebody with you. So the ones you can't go to, they can go to, and y'all can swap and exchange notes. Session number 3 is mentorship, building leaders through relationship. That's going to be by Pastor Corey Penn. You don't want to miss that one. Session number 4 is leading with emotional intelligence and integrity. That's none other than our big brother out of Dallas, Texas, Benny Franklin. He's going to be leading that one. I may have to cut out on mine just to go. I'm just kidding.
I know,
I'm just kidding. All right, session number
going on.
Right. Session number 5 is going to be faith and leadership, finding strength in servitude, and that's by Brother Ryan Langford. Let me see. Did Dr. Dent? Nope, he hadn't joined just yet. I was just trying to make sure he wasn't in the green room back there hiding, eating up all of the craft services. But then after our sessions finish up, we're going to have lunch from 12:30 to 1. At 1 o'clock, we're going to have our keynote done by none other than Pastor Cedric Raphael. From 1 to 1:45, we're going to have some testimonies from the event, and then we're going to close it out at 2 o'clock. So we're not going to keep you there all day. And I was talking to somebody just today who had an event, and their event ended early. And people were still there. They were there. They were hanging there. They were talking because they didn't want to leave. That's why the networking comes into play. And we want to make sure that we don't hold you there all day because we know people have stuff to do. But we also want to give you time to have those conversations, to sit down and talk to people that you may not be able to talk to any other time, to have a chance to fellowship and to connect. And that's why we wanted to make sure that we didn't hold you there all day, but we're also going to feed you breakfast and lunch, and we're going to make sure that you get out at a decent time. It is so important for all of us to be able to actually pour into ourselves to the point to where we can pour into someone else. I remember sharing with somebody about how important it is for us. Wait, do my eyes deceive me? Is that Dr. Dent? Did he make it? Dr. Dent, are you there? Or do we just have a blank screen? Okay. Now there he. Oh, we done. We finished. We had 30 minutes. Pastor Austin, you and I, we can actually check out. We're gonna let Dr. Dent talk for the next half hour because he can. Man, what happened?
Oh my God, man.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we've been talking about the event, talking about how critically important it is for us to understand what fellowship is. And so I know you have your take on it. So I'm gonna turn the mic over to you.
Why? What's the conversation been going on? Hey, thank you guys for being. Thank you, Saccone and Pastor Austin. Appreciate you guys. It means a lot. We talk about that a lot. Talking about how people want to be in leadership, but they haven't learned how to follow people yet. They haven't identified even the destination of the one they're following sometimes. And so, the whole thing about Jesus saying, "Follow me, and I'll make you into fishers of men." The key thing is that everywhere in Scripture, there's the call to follow. It's not the call to lead; it's the call to follow. I really think we have taken some Western terms and threw it into the Eastern context, and failed to see when Jesus said, and then Paul said it, like we use in the Scripture, "Follow me as I follow Christ." I think it's important for us to identify who we are following at all times, not just sometimes. But I think it's a critical point for us to pay attention to that consistently, so that we can identify, the destination, where we going, where we headed, so that the journey can be, a great journey without us, being confused about where we're headed. So I think the conference. I know it's a unique conference because you don't see them. Um, we see all kinds of men conferences going on, but having the mindset of following and be effective in following the leader and being a person who has a heart to follow, I think we don't see that enough.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. We have to make sure that we're modeling that. We are
Hmm.
modeling, in fact, what it means to follow. It's
Hmm.
not just about, in fact, making a name for yourself, but what what are you pouring into the next generation to help them to be able to actually step into your shoes when you're gone? Because all of us, we have an expiration date.
Yes.
But
Hmm.
but if we don't live life with that mindset, we will take all of our knowledge, all our experience, all of our wisdom to the grave with us. But if we realize I only have a short period of time here, I need to leave this with somebody else. I need to put this in somebody else. I need to pour this into somebody else so that
Absolutely.
they can become a better version of themselves. So yeah.
Yes. And the Bible talks about, he said, I call the old men because they know the way. And I call the young men because they're strong. That means the
Mhm.
ones who are ahead of us, our mentors, they have knowledge and stuff, but we just don't have it. And some of the knowledge that you can't get it from a book, some of it just come from life itself. You
Right.
know,
Right.
some things that you've lived and experienced in your life that is not necessarily in a book, and you have to pass that stuff on down. And so as we follow Christ and we get these experiences, like we talked about earlier, Dr. Dent, um, you could use some of my pitfalls and my examples so you don't have to make those same pitfalls. You
Yeah.
don't have to make those same mistakes, and so following that having that humility to follow the leader or the follower as he's following Christ and following that example each and every day, watching. I'm observing, I'm looking. So when Jesus said, "Follow me, I make you fishers of men," Jesus said, "Watch me, look at me. I
Yeah.
want you to watch. I want you to," because sometimes even when we're doing that, we don't want people watching us. Why are you looking at me so closely? Why are you, scrutinizing everything that I do? I'm scrutinizing you because I'm following you, right?
Mm.
And so we
Right.
got to have that transparency for me to be able to see what am I following here as you follow Christ. And so those are some of the things we have to do as well to understand that. And like you said, for men, it's so difficult for us to just to humble ourselves and follow other men because we have that alpha mentality, and it's difficult.
Yeah, I have a comment here from our Facebook from our good friend Corey Fox. He says a true leader is a servant first, cause because he always should be trying to make other people better.
Yes.
And yes, we definitely have to serve. I also got another comment here, in fact, from my with one of the deacons in our church, Deacon Nick West. He said, "Fishers of men," and yes, that's who we should be. We should be fishers of men. And Christ, his commission was his. Like when he first called, he said, "Follow me, and I shall make you fishers of men." And like you said, Pastor Austin, he left an example on record. There were so many things he did in the presence of the disciples for them to actually be in a classroom. And one thing I love about God is that He will give you an example. He will show you somebody. He will put somebody in your life that you can actually follow. Like Paul said, Follow me as I follow Christ. Those who have a hunger and thirst after righteousness will be filled. And God will put somebody in our life to help us do that. And that's what this event is all about. It's helping to teach the men, the body of Christ, the importance of fellowship.
Well, I want to jump in, chime in something that I taught my son. I said, son, I can never give you my experiences, you know, being a Marine, what I did. I said, but I can teach you the principles that I learned because, you know, you can never give someone, Pastor Austin, your combat experiences, but you
Absolutely.
can tell them about the principles. You can tell them about what did I learn in the process of this. And here's the thing that I think sometimes the church is too busy apologizing for. When Jesus said, I make you fishers of men, he meant men. He didn't say women, because here's the key thing about it. He fed the multitude of 5,000 men, not including women and children, because he put the responsibility in the hands of men. Now, watch this. He did not diminish the role and the responsibility of the woman. He magnified the responsibility of men. So the key thing is, how do men become better followers of Christ in his kingdom? So you ask the question, you say, well, you see people today want to change the scripture when it said men and women. They want to make it, you know, like this Western mindset, because women liberation has invaded into the context of men being effective leaders or followers in their household. Because now we're putting all the response, well, we need the women to do it. We need to do it. And the men just said, y'all want the women to do it? I'll just step aside and let them do it. So it becomes so important for us to recognize he became fishers of men. We ought to target men and watch the men. Because here's a scientific proof, everybody. If you
Yes.
get the man, it's 93% you'll get the entire family. If you go after the woman, it's 33% you'll get the entire family. You go after children, it reduces to 6 to 7% of getting the entire family. So you wonder why, even in the Great Commission, they were commanded men. They were commanded men. They were commissioned men. They understood exactly what Jesus told them to do. And the women in that day came alongside and they supported and they helped and they carry out the kingdom, the mandate of the king. It was not a competitive thing. It was not men and women competing against each other. It was men and women collaborating with each other to advance the kingdom of God. And I think sometimes we fail to see that, because I remember when people kept telling me experience is the best teacher, and it always didn't register with me, because my dad experience is not my experience, but my dad can teach me the principles of things I need to know, because my dad was born in 1930. There's no way I was born 30 years later. There's no way his experience is the same as mine. But the
Yeah.
principles of living is understanding the principles behind it, because we get caught up. My dad used to say we had to walk to school. I said, Dad, we got school buses, so we ain't got to walk. So he said, all right, we
Yeah.
don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to foot it. We don't have to carry lunches. They got lunches for us. You know, so his experience, but my dad taught me the principles. You got to understand the principles behind following, because if I'm trapped in Saucony or Pastor Austin experience, it would never be mine.
Yes.
But the principles of living, the problems, you could teach me about problems you had and what you did to overcome, or you
Yeah.
didn't overcome them. But the reality is, a lot of times we want to transfer our experiences. And I said, boy, you just don't know what it's like when you were growing up. Absolutely, Dad. I didn't have to go cut wood. I got
Yeah.
I got I got running water inside. You made this provision. So we
Yeah.
don't have to cut wood. We got heaters. We got,
Yes.
you had to get up in the morning to cut wood, the furnace. I would never have that experience, Pops. But the key thing is, you could teach me the principle about hard work. You could teach me the principles about work ethics. You can teach me the principles about putting food on the table for my family. You can teach me that. But what you experience will never be my experience. And so I
Yeah.
think when we come to teach
Yeah.
about following, he said fishers of men. He said men. And when we go for the men and we don't apologize to the women that we're going for the men, we'll see the church become what the church ought to be. When men, because remember the key thing, and I remember the key thing, when men is out of his place, the woman is misplaced, and the children are displaced because the man is not in his place. So when we understand the fellowship and have a heart to follow, we can take away all these external principles of the world that has invaded the church and say this has to take place. Well, in the kingdom, okay. Y'all said I could talk, but okay, I'm done.
yeah, we
I
did.
didn't come up. I didn't hear. I'm a late bloomer. I'm late getting on. I'm a late
Okay.
bloomer. Tell me.
Well,
Okay.
we just want to show again the individuals, in fact, that are going to be gracing the stage. In fact, myself, they're going to be facilitating. In fact, one of the sessions, Pastor Lord Michael also going to be doing the same thing. Also, with Pastor Corey Penn, Brother Benny Franklin, and Pastor Ryan Lanaft. He's going to be there, and our keynote is. Our keynote is going to be by none other than Pastor Cedric Raphael. So we are super excited for all of those who want to be a part of this. We do ask that you register for this event. You can go to bit.ly/NMPCFC. And it's on the screen. It's right there, bit.ly/NMPCFC to register for this amazing event. And again, it's going to be next Friday and Saturday, March 14th and 15th. A week from today, you can actually be a part of this event. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it because it's going to be a phenomenal time. Brother, do we have anything that we want to say in closing before we...
Yeah, you might want to get Dr. Dent. Did he leave?
I'm sorry. I dropped him off.
You took me off.
Okay. Dr. Dent, you might want to kind of like give him an insight about Friday night.
Yeah, on Friday night, we're going to be at Innovation Portal, and that's downtown 358 St. Louis Street. And we're going to have finger foods and stuff of that nature. Just a fellowship, just a small fellowship that we're going to work out. And I already got all the food taken care of, so don't worry about that. So we got all that taken care of. We're going to have all that ready on Friday night. Drop in just to get to meet each other, because you told everybody, people coming in from Memphis, coming in from Dallas, coming in from other places, they're going to be here. Anthony Tarbert said they're going to be here as well. They driving. So looking forward to everybody's coming in, the National Men Prayer Call. You can join us. I'm sure you said this already, Saccone and Lord Mike Austin. You can join us on Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7 o'clock Central Time. And you can get information on the National Men Prayer Call Facebook page. You can gather those information because of Saccone, Pastor Austin and myself are here because he sent me a link. He invited me to join, and I've been part of it ever since. So I've been following Saccone Prince live.
And what about tomorrow?
Who make motivated personal? What? Go ahead.
What about tomorrow at 4 o'clock?
And tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we're going to be on WGOK, so y'all can hear this again. And I will be on time.
We would hope so.
I will be in this space on time. And it is also sponsored by the City of Grace. So the City of Grace has been sponsoring our radio spot since last year. Starting in June, we're going to have it every Saturday. So, we're having it twice a month now, but we want to include you to please listen in, because Saccone Prince and I have been talking about a lot. Pastor Austin going to be with us this Saturday. We've been talking a lot about healing the inner child, and we have had such great conversations around the table about that particular subject matter. I want to tell you guys, thank you, Saccone, for inviting me tonight.
Yes.
Even though I was delayed, delay worked in my favor. Even though I was delayed.
Okay. Well, and speaking of healed, and I have a huge announcement, which me and Dr. Den are going to be talking about, because there's a follow-up to that book. And once we solidify that I'm telling you, it's the next step. After you heal the inner child, I want to talk about it, but I can't, because that'd be a whole nother 2 hours. But I'm telling you, it was needed, it was necessary, and now is the time. So listen, with that being said, again, if you want to find out more about the conference, you can go to bit.ly/NMPCFC. And that stands for National Men's Prayer Call Followship Conference. You can go there, you can find out more information, you can register. If you're coming, please do that, because we need a head count, so we make sure we have enough food, have enough programs, and have enough resources for all of those people who come out to be a part of this amazing event. And listen, fellas, y'all have anything y'all want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, go ahead, Pastor Austin, because since you were on before me, I'm gonna just.
Oh no, I just was honored to be here tonight, and just thank God for this conference, and it's well needed. Just like you said, Dr. Dent, to give our men that um, encouragement to get back in our rightful place. I remember once my wife told me, she said, "I got a headache," and I said, "Well, take some aspirin." She said, "No, you're the head of this family, and you're aching me because you're not following Christ." And you're leading the family straight. And a lot of times we don't realize that when we're out of
Yeah.
place, when we're out of order. What you say, when the man is out of place, he's out of place. The women are displaced and the children are misplaced. And that's very true. And a lot of times we don't realize the effect that we're having on our generations to come because we're not following like we should. So thank you, Sakona, for inviting me today. And prayerfully, I'll be back again. And looking
Yes,
forward to
sir.
more, even at 4 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Dr. Dent?
Well, I think the other thing is that I wrote my last book was Unchained Minds, and both of you guys are in it, so you know that. So
Yes.
you wrote the forward, and I talk a lot about Pastor Austin with the peel and prayer that we try to get people to stop spiritual bypassing things that we need to be able to address our mental well-being, and so I would encourage people to purchase that book, get the book. I'm sure we'll have a book table, right, Sakoni? We'll have a table somewhere so people can, at least order the books if you want to or get them. Because I think you understand that we do have people who are writers. And, if you're not following us at all, hey, we encourage you to do so. And we encourage you not just to follow and be part of it, but, eventually, take a role with us here in Mobile because we're trying to build this network of men. We're not here to compete. Saucony Prince said this when it was a Saucony Prince live one day said this. He said the biggest problem that we're having among men is that our insecurities when we're in our egos is because when we're insecure and we're not solid in our identity, we struggle when other people have the confidence in their identity and our level of maturity. And that's why he keeps saying this, that when it's coming, it's coming. You got to heal the inner child. You got to get beyond the 8-year-old or the second grader who's having a temper tantrum and shut down and not realize what's going on within yourself. So, like, you have a tendency to stonewall. You have a tendency to say, "What's wrong?" Nothing. And you go like when something is going on. So, we want to encourage you to be here. Like he said, register for the conference. Matter of fact, you two need to make sure you two register too. So all of us are registering for the conference. Because as soon as I get off, I'm registering for the conference. Because
Okay.
I'm not speaking. I'm a student.
You the man.
Yeah,
I'm a,
you the man. Good brother, listen, I appreciate your time. Thank y'all for coming on. And we look so forward to having everybody there. Those, I'm telling you, share this video, we're going to have a flyer. I'm actually going to go back and put the flyer on this video, and you can share that as well. You can text it out, tweet it out, DM it out, Facebook it out, stories, YouTube, whatever you have to do, because we know that this conference is going to help change people's lives. And with that being said, we will talk to y'all or see y'all next weekend, March 14th and 15th, for the National Men's Prayer Call Mobile Chapter Fellowship Conference. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. God bless.